I think you're gonna enjoy this one because I know you enjoy a good debate, a disagreement between us, right? So
Oh, are we going to disagree?
yeah, yes,
Right.
we're about to disagree.
I don't
We're
enjoy
going
it.
to.
You enjoy it more because I always get my ass handed to me. I hate arguing with you. I'm always
No,
at the edge of my seat.
no, but you like that. You like a challenge, right?
Yeah,
You
not
like
not
to be
not with you.
challenged.
Not with you.
No.
I'm serious. Okay, all right. Throw it at me. Come at me, bro.
Okay. So you posted a tweet recently that I want to
Oh,
review that.
it's
Eh,
going to be under a microscope. I've said a lot of stupid things.
oh yeah, this
I've
one.
got, I've copped a lot of flack from even from some Pakistani wokes. I know you're not a woke, but I'm like, oh my god, like I'm really okay. Let's just go with it. Let's go with
Okay,
it. Let's go
okay.
with it.
So this is a bad one. When I saw this one, I'm like,
Oh
okay,
shit! It
okay,
might be bad.
okay,
I give
Harris.
up. I give up already. I give up. Okay, what is
No,
it?
I think you're very passionate about this, so I don't think you're gonna give up. Okay. So you posted this tweet. Wait,
Is
hold
it
on.
about in the wake of Is it French riots? Is it about that? Is it after that? Is it
No,
related to
no,
that?
no.
Oh, okay.
So
Ooh.
it's this tweet.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Mm.
really? That was a very well thought out one. I thought about it. I
Oh,
sat on it for a
really?
while. Oh, the
Really? So
transgenderism. Okay, all right. Oh
yeah,
yeah.
it's
Okay.
about
Okay.
trans.
Yeah. Come at me, bro.
This one.
Let's. Okay.
See, I know you're gonna be confident about this. I know you're gonna be confident. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's this one. Okay.
Until you shatter
So
me.
you wanna read your own tweet?
Okay, so
So
I'll read
this
it.
is
So
the yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah, go ahead.
okay, and this has been my position for a very long time, and I have kept my mouth shut over this issue for a very long time. I don't know if we've ever privately spoken about it, Armin, or not. Then why we don't talk about it. And now, okay, well, maybe Vidu has had those disagreements with us, and I being in the middle, Vidu being on the conservative side, and you being on the left side. So, I said
I would
throughout
yeah,
history,
but okay.
bad ideas
Yeah,
have
go ahead.
emerged in societies, but they have a way of dying out. We are currently witnessing another bad idea known as wokeism, which is led by transgenderism. This is what I meant. For the longest time, I held the belief that it would fizzle out, lose steam, and eventually fade away. Unfortunately, it seems to be escalating and worsening with each passing day. And by that, I mean the rise of Tateism, like those kind of red pill, and those are the direct consequences of not challenging wokeism
Okay, don't
enough.
add don't add stuff to it that is not in
Okay.
the tweet to make it better right now. I know
No,
it's
no,
not in there.
I have to give
Yes.
you context.
Okay.
I have to tell you what my
Okay.
mind was thinking. Okay, so if
I
something was missed out, as you
sure.
know, it's a tweet, so you still gotta have it
Yeah, yeah.
limited. You can't really write 10-page essays. So
That
this
okay, but
issue,
that's what you said. Yeah, go ahead.
no, look, hang on, no, but you have to take the best version of my tweet, yeah.
Okay, sure. Okay, let's go.
So
Okay.
so this issue will not resolve itself on its own. Instead of focusing on important matters such as exploring Mars, eradicating poverty, and utilizing AI to solve global problem, world hunger, blah, 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 that kind of stuff, we find ourselves being overshadowed by the dominance of the men are women too brigade, or that biological women should be called birthers, etc. Okay,
Mhm.
initially, now this might seem like I'm only going after transgenderism, but there's a whole spectrum of wokeism.
You're making
I
it. You're
I
trying to
I,
make
I
it
have
better.
to I have to steelman my position, Armin.
Okay, okay.
Initially,
But you
but
have
again,
to
like
you have to understand that when you have this tweet out there, that if I the damage that this tweet does is because you have to look at we have to evaluate this tweet and the way people will take it based on what is in this tweet, the stuff that you're
I get
adding.
it.
Yeah, yeah. So if I
Yeah,
consider this tweet harmful, if I consider this tweet to be
fair enough.
harmful, which I do, it's partly because it doesn't come with all of the stuff that you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah, go
right,
on.
right, right. No, I get that, but again, we still have to get the most charitable. explanation if somebody adds to it, right? I mean, and that's just how it works. Whatever book we write, there would always be some other context that people will perceive it in a different way. But anyway, let's just go with it. Okay, so initially their influence was confined to fringe social media accounts, but now it has infiltrated the mainstream media and even schools. Today, I officially declare myself an enemy of this menace called wokeism. Jeez, I wrote this. If this declaration opens me up to attacks from the far left, like Armin Navabi, who may label me as a far right winger, then so be it. Now, I don't think you would label me that, but some Pakistani wokes have called me that. F you won't tell my 9-year-olds how to play with their private parts. I left Islam to keep my kids away from the sexualization of children, not gonna allow another cult to do the same. You are not going to coerce my children into going through irreversible life-altering surgeries just because you were fucked up as a kid. Okay, that's a bit harsh. Doesn't mean you have to normalize getting fucked up for everyone. And then I showed this book that was designed for kids, and it was put up on normal Big W is a normal departmental store in Australia, big chain, and the books. The general book stand is for everyone, and it's just sitting there with this kind of explicit imagery in that, and yeah, so
Wait,
that's
can I
why
show this on YouTube? Can I show this on YouTube?
I don't think so. Maybe just blur it out when you do it.
Right. Okay. So this is what you are panicking over. This book. This
It's the
menace,
last
this
straw.
harmful thing.
It's the straw that broke my back.
What's wrong with this book?
This book is not appropriate for 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old kids.
So you're saying, look at this. You won't tell my 9-year-old how to play with their private parts. This book is not telling your 9-year-old.
Yes, it is.
This book
There
is not
are literally there are vagina rubbings on other vaginas, and like, yeah, that's literally it's saying. There's a whole book. There's some other pages in that too, Armin.
You completely. This is not. Nobody's forcing your kids to read this book. This is not for schools.
It's a popular book.
for-
Any kid can read it.
No, this is for parents to teach their children about
No,
sex education.
No, this is not. I listened to the whole interview of the author of the book. She's saying that, yeah, it's okay for a 9-year-old to read that too.
Yes, it is okay, but of course it's okay. It's sex education. It comes with parental guide. Hold on.
Okay, yeah, finish your thought.
It's not for schools, so it's not being forced upon children. It is for parents to buy for their children. And there's nothing here that is bad for children. It's sex education. What's wrong with what it's teaching? What age do you think is appropriate to teach children sex education? What age is sex education appropriate for children? What do you think?
You can start telling children about good touch and the bad touch without explicit imagery. You can ease into it by telling kids that, okay, if someone tells you to come sit on my lap, that's no, don't do that. If someone touches you somewhere, then it's not okay. You can tell them that, but you can't tell them about how you can play with your anus and how you can rub your vaginas on vaginas.
What age is that appropriate?
No, you can start telling them about good touch, bad touch, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, you can start telling them around those ages.
Okay, good touch, bad touch. You're saying 9, 11, 12. What age is appropriate to tell them about other sexual activities that it's okay?
You can start telling them from the ages of 14, maybe 14, 15, 16. You can, because that's the age when they're curious.
14, 15?
Yeah, and that's the age when they're gonna start playing with. They're gonna start experimenting. They're gonna start doing those things.
Okay. So,
but minus the imagery, you can then show them. Then you can show them hardcore. Here's the problem. Some people say that there's
hardcore.
No. But I'm saying why? Why not hardcore then? I mean, I'm saying if you allow this, then why not?
Okay,
show
so
them,
you're
hey,
saying
this is how you do it.
Far as Okay, as far as you're saying by age 15, as far as hardcore, this was not hardcore imagery. This was not hardcore
This
imagery.
is softcore imagery. This is explicit by my
Okay,
standards,
yes.
by a lot of people's standards.
What age is that okay to show, to tell children that this is okay?
What, the actual imagery
Like the scissoring, for example, is okay. What age?
with this imagery? Like
Yeah,
you're talking. No, I have a problem with
yeah.
imagery. You got to understand
I
what
was,
we're. Yeah.
when I was, when I was 8, my parents showed me imagery. My
Mm.
dad showed me imagery, and to show what sex is. When I was 8, okay, but maybe that's too early. What age do you think it's appropriate to tell people? And also, this is not explicit. This is soft core. This is a drawing. This is a cute drawing of
And
some
cute.
sex activity. Yeah, it's pretty cute. Okay, so I don't, if you don't mind.
That ain't cute.
But
That ain't
what
cute.
age? You're not answering the
I am
question.
answering. Just
What
wait.
age?
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you again. What age do you think it's appropriate to show kids drawings of certain sexual activity to show them what's okay? What age do you think it's okay?
I think from 14, 15, 16, you could start doing this.
Okay, 14, 15. Okay, so
You could talk about it,
basic.
and around that age, you can tell them what actually sex
Okay,
is. Yeah.
you're repeating yourself. Okay, so sex education based on psychologists, this level, it's okay, 12 to 15, based on the parental decision. You think closer to 15? Okay. Some psychologists are saying 12, starting at 12 is okay, all the way up to
Woke,
15. Okay.
woke psychologists.
Okay. Oh yeah. Oh, work psychologist. Just dismissing. You just said 15 yourself.
Yeah,
You just said
yeah, because
15.
because
So
at
you're
the age of
saying,
because at the
okay.
age of
So you
15, I
think
mean, yeah, okay.
okay. So this
See,
is what you're.
I'm on
This
the edge of my seat. There
this
you go.
is
Like, look
yeah.
at this. Look at
Look,
the hardcore griller. where's
you
where's I need video vids.
have you
I need video vids. I need
okay.
Waleed with me.
Well, you posted this tweet without the help of video vids, so you should
No,
defend it without the help of video vids.
I will defend it, but you're grilling me. Okay, let's just go with it.
Okay. You're dismissing 12. You're dismissing
Mhm.
12 by just, oh, wokes, without studying, without actually knowing, having a background in psychology, having a background in child psychology, okay, without looking the work that goes into coming up with these age numbers. Just because you don't like the answer, you're like, woke.
Armin. Okay, here's my strong point. Armin, I am 100% certain we can find many psychologists who would
Hmm.
disagree with that. Who would disagree with 12,
Yes.
13, 14 either.
Yes, but look at what you look. Yes, many of them agree with that. Many of them might disagree with that. But guess what? They won't do. They will come up with reasons, scientific reasons for why they disagree with that, based on data, instead of just dismissing them as woke. That's not what they would do. They
No,
would
but
have a logical academic disagreement with them with data, not just, oh, these are just woke people who haven't done their job,
no, but
people
not.
who are just being
Uh,
dishonest. That's what you're doing, right?
no, I could say that I'm leaning on to the scientific evidence that is against 12, 13, 14. I could argue that.
Yeah, but the fact that you just dismiss them as woke shows your cherry picking and bias in selectively looking at science that you like. By the way, I haven't found that everything I checked shows that this is a proper age limit for proper age for starting to talk to children about sex. Completely, this is not going to, here's the thing, this is not going to break children. And again, this, you talked about this tweet as if this was being forced on children.
Okay, well, I can easily defend
Okay,
that part.
you this is, hold on, not only this is not being forced on children, this is parents, this is for parents. Children, this is not for children to buy, this is for parents to buy for children who are choosing to have a conversation about sex with their children, and they are using this as an aid. And thank you for that, because parents are horrible, many parents are horrible in having these conversations with their children. So it's good for them to have something that helps them to have better conversation about these things with children. You didn't even check if this was being forced for children. You assume that
I
this
knew
is
that.
being put.
I knew that.
No, no, no. You
No, I
okay?
knew that.
Yeah, go on.
Okay, so that's not a good argument. That okay, well, it's for kids. If it is being advertised as that children as young as 9 can have that, parents should show that. This is a
It's
cultural
not.
point.
It's not for us. It's not for young as 9.
The author, I listened to the whole interview of the author of the book, Yumi. She said that I
That's not how
recommend
it's
that for
been
kids up to 9.
categorized.
Well,
I
who
checked
who
it.
hasn't
It's
categorized?
the book.
Oh
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, you're
It's
talking about the
being
recommended age on the book, yeah, yeah. But I'm talking
yeah
about yeah. But hang on, but
12,
this is
12 to 15.
but this
It
is
says
a
12 to 15.
but this is not how the world works. There are people, there are kids, there are people who are taking the kids to naked drag shows, kids as young as 4, five,
We're not
6. Okay,
talking about
no, no,
that.
I am
We're
no, no.
talking
Hang
about
on,
this
no, no,
book.
no, 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 no. I got to finish my point. So you got to understand. If you want to get into my, you want to have a little peep in my mind, then I'm going to tell you how what I'm thinking. So this is a cultural war. This is not how it goes. So if something is popularized, something is normalized, this argument is not good enough on its own that okay, well, it's up to kids to do that. Okay, well, it's up to kids. It's up to parents. It's up to parents to show them fucking hardcore porn. What are you going to do that? Oh no, it's
This
up to, no
is
one's being
not
forced upon that.
hardcore
No, no, but
porn.
no, but you're
Oh
missing the
my
point.
god.
You're missing the point. The point here is your premise is that it's up to the parents. I am saying up to the parents is not a good enough guideline because then it could go to anything. I am saying these markers are suggested by cultural conversations, but becomes a part of a culture and then part of the legislation. This is how it goes. So this is why some people say, okay, where do, the debate is always about where are we drawing the line? And yes, you could
You're doing
argue.
it. You're doing a slippery slope fallacy, basically.
No, it's not a slippery slope fallacy. No, it's not. But this is, does it not work that way? Tell me, does it not work that way? That we are always deciding whether should be 18-year-old who are allowed to drink or 21 years old who are allowed to drink.
You have to come up with you have to come up with guidelines. Just because
So
if
what?
you
So what
introduce a
guideline does
guideline
Australia use? So
without
what?
without without the guideline, it would be more of a slippery slope. If you didn't have a guideline,
That's
this is
what I'm
actually
talking.
prevent. Have,
That's what I'm saying. You're agreeing with me.
but these books are providing guidelines. This is a proper conversation. Without these books, the conversations would be worse, and worse than that, there would be no conversations. This book is an amazing aid. It's properly made for children at the age that the book is designed for. Without guides like this, we either will have parents who have not as effective conversations about sex with their children, which is horrible, or no conversation at all. Do
No
you
one's
know
saying no
studies?
conversation at all. No one is saying no
What?
conversation at all. No one's saying no
That's what
conversation at all. My problem is with
I
my
did
problem
not.
is with explicit
You're not
imagery.
listening to what I am saying. I'm saying it would be one of it, without these books. These books are good ways to. I didn't say it would just be no conversation at all. Did you not listen that I provided multiple options? I said without this book, we
But that
would
was the
either
extreme
have
end of the
conversation. You're not
but
listening.
again
You're not
it's
finished.
no but the, yeah but then go into the lowest hanging fruit, yeah. So you go into that, okay, it's either that or there's a whole spectrum. I am saying no, but I am also saying that it's not
You
going that way where there's no conversation at all.
you're not listening to what I'm trying to say. You're not letting me finish my points. Okay,
Okay.
so parents want to have
Mhm.
conversations with their children. Studies show that children who have not had their adults talk to them about sexual
Mhm.
education, about
Mhm.
the things that are normal, about types of sexual interactions, relationships with other people. Studies show that those children are more at risk of abuse. If a
Mhm.
child is not introduced to the types of sexual activities that are okay, those children are more likely, are easier to abuse because they don't know what's happening to them is wrong. So people who are saying that children are being put at risk because of material like this, they don't understand that it's actually not talking to children
Am I
about this
saying, why are
type
you
of
telling me
stuff.
this? Am I
Is
saying
that
that?
putting them at risk? Okay, so you agree. So now we are both on the same page. No,
Mhm.
I'm just trying to put it for the audience. I'm trying to
Okay.
provide the right
Okay.
context background to understand. So we now understand that it's good to talk to children
Mm.
Parents talking to the children about what is the okay sexual activities. That's a good conversation to have for your children. Parents, unfortunately, are not equipped, do not have the education or the background to know what is the right way to have that conversation. A lot of them feel awkward. A lot of them might think that this is too much or too little. They don't know the proper way. It's good to create aid content that
Mm.
aids the parents, so that if they're reading something, first of all, it can't be a psychological book because they can't use it as an aid with the child. It's good to create books that the parents could just be like, okay, now my job is easier. I could just sit down with my daughter, with my son, and just read this book together. Because I don't know, I'm not a child psychologist. I don't know how to properly have this conversation. And guess what? The parent could read the book and see if this is a book that they want to read with their children. And they're like, okay, no, I don't like this image. I'm going to buy another one. So it's up to the parent to use this book for the aid, for aiding their conversation or not. What the hell is wrong with that? This is good. I wish my parents had these kind of aids. They would
Okay,
have had
so
more productive
okay,
conversations with me.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. So you're saying that okay, parents have a choice to decide whether they can expose their children to this kind of imagery or not. They have a choice. And my argument is that you cannot just entirely leave it up to parents to make that decision, because then you could talk about something else too. Then you could go
Mhm.
into next year's book would be even more explicit. So if that if you are, I agree with you. If your point was that okay, this is a book for parents guiding them how to talk to your kids about these topics, then okay, I'm okay with that. But giving that, normalizing that, okay, you can show this kind of imagery to kids. I'm gonna go with the recommended age of the author, that your kids as young as 9, telling them, okay, you can lube up your anus hole, and this is how you can clean it, and then you can rim it or whatever. I'm sorry,
Mm.
I'm gonna say that this is just way too much. So normalizing for even parents that it's, oh, hey, parents, it's okay if you show your kid that kind of imagery. I'm saying no, I'm against that normalization.
Okay. First of all, you say we can't leave it up to parents. That's the entire point of the book. Okay? I
Mm,
don't trust parents as well. That's why we need books like this. Okay? Because parents do a horrible job if they try to talk about sex. The worst thing the parents do is not talk about sex to the children at all. That
mm,
those are the children that are most at risk. So if you leave
mm,
it up to the parents, most of them wouldn't even have this conversation, which is bad.
mm, mm.
And the ones that do, they do a crappy job. So it's for the reason that we don't want to just leave it up to the parents that we have to make books like this, because like,
Mm.
okay, let's help you out here. So that's my position. Don't leave it up to the parents. That's why I'm defending this book. Also,
No, but this book is not for
children,
parents. This book is not just for parents. This book is for kids.
I understand that. That's what I'm saying. The parents needs more than just a guideline. It needs a tool to be able to sit and talk to the children. So that comes to your second point. You're saying this is
It's
too
not a tool for
explicit.
parents. This is a tool for kids.
You're not listening to what I'm saying. It's a tool for parents to help their children. If it was just a if it was just a guideline for the parent to read, the parent would not be able to parents would not be able to use that to show to their kids, because that would be too advanced for the kids to have a conversation with the parents with. This is a book that you could read with your
No.
daughter.
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
Oh
whoa,
my
whoa,
god.
whoa, whoa. No, no, no. But now, hang on. But you're formulating your own opinion very strongly on the basis of whatever beliefs you hold. You're saying that okay, parents would not be able to understand a book if it's just a psychology or just addressing the actual points.
I
Sure.
did not say that. That's not what I said. What I'm saying is
Okay.
that that's not a book that they could. It's a guideline. It's what I'm talking about. This book as a tool. It's not just a tool that the parents reads and understands what to do. A tool is also something that you could share with the child. Okay, a tool is something that you could both you and the parent and the child could use together to read together, for example, or something that you give them as a guide
Yeah, you're
to
making
help them.
excuses. Nah, you just very
Okay.
simple. I can give you a solution. make a book for parents,
Let me
tell them
maybe finish
imagery,
my point
whatever.
though. I waited for you to finish your
Okay,
point. You're not
sorry.
letting me to finish
Okay,
my
sorry,
point.
sorry,
Yes, yes,
sorry,
yes.
sorry.
Okay. So the image that we're seeing here, it's not too explicit for, because you keep using the word kids. And I know why people do that, because when they say, like, when people say, right leaning people, right, who want to have this panic, this trans panic, that
Mhm.
is the same as, basically, this is satanic panic. This is what conservatives do because they
Bigotry.
cannot sell their ideology as anti-trans because it's too hateful. So instead of, this is their trick of acting like they're protecting children and the family, because it's easier to sell your ideology as defending something rather than being against something else. But here's what's happening here, right? That's why they keep on saying kids, kids, kids. They're showing sexual content to our kids, because when you hear that, you think like, okay, this, they're showing this to 6 year olds, 7 year olds, 8 year olds. The
Nine.
image that is here, yeah, the image that is here, the book says that this is for 12 to 15. The book that says that, right? So the image that I'm seeing here is completely fine for 12 to 15-year-old. It's not hardcore. It's not hardcore at all. It's something very soft. It's been way softer than things that I've seen for my sexual education when I was a child, when I was 9 years old, when I was 8 years old. And it's much softer than the things that kids will get exposed to, will expose themselves to, if you don't have these conversations with them. The type of content that the kids will see is way more explicit if you do not have this conversation and show them a softer version of it. Also, the example of what you just told me of something that is too explicit for children, lubing up your anus hole, I am so glad that they're having that conversation with children, because children are experimenting with that regardless of you having that conversation with them or not. Talking about loops, look at what you're panicking over. Exactly the thing that they need to hear to not damage themselves if they are doing that, which they are going to do that. They are going to experiment with themselves. I'm so grateful to the people that are telling the children how to use lubes if they end up doing that. That is what's going to protect them from harm. You not having that conversation. Look how the people who are acting like defending the children, not talk lubes. You People keep talking about lubes as if it's just something funny, something like, oh my god, they're children talking to children about lubing it up. Lubing is exactly the conversation that lubing is such an important part of health and protecting children, that it's the worst example to give. It's worst example to give, because look at the the reaction, this panic that people are having over something that if children don't use while they're experimenting. Imagine two gay 14-year-olds realizing that they boys that they like each other, and they realize that this is the proper way, that realizing that they want to have a sexual interaction with each other. Imagine those kids not having been told about lubing, about how to keep this clean, how to protect themselves from disease. Those children not having that conversations are a lot more at risk if they have that sexual interaction with each other than the ones that have been told how to protect themselves, how to use condoms, how to use lubes. They're not going to damage themselves, they're not going to damage their anus, and they're more likely to not pass on disease with each other. But the people who are coming out and saying like, oh, protect the children, they're going to have more gay kids having sexual relationships with each other without condoms and without lubes in the name of protecting children, which is insane. It's the opposite of what we want. I'm so glad that there are people that are going and telling kids like, hey, if you're going to put your dick in someone else's anus, make sure you use a condom, make sure you use loops. And this is how to do it. That's We need that. And I'm thankful for it. I'm grateful for it.
Okay.
I wish we had this earlier.
Okay. I hope we can hold it off as long as we can. So, quite a few points you made, and please remind me if I miss any of the points. I can address all of them. So, that's just the attack that you just said. The right winger, they use kids and because they want to defend the bigotry or something. No, maybe not. Maybe we have a different worldview, and we don't want that. And I ain't, and I'm not even a fucking right winger. Okay, so there is a separate worldview that people can think that okay, this is a spectrum. There's no right age. In Australia, you can drink at the age of 18. In America, you can drink at the age of 21. These lines are always argued upon, and there are pros and cons. There are arguments for and against. And then at the end, these are arbitrary lines. And this is why religions make a comeback when people like you, when wokes or people like you, when you keep redefining the lines, and then people find it really, really uncomfortable. So you're saying that, okay, well, not using lube could be dangerous. I should have had a pen because you made a lot of points and I had a lot of counterpoints to that. Two 14-year-old boys liking each other and not having, if they want to fuck each other in the bum, then they're probably going to find out as well that that dick is hurting my bum. Okay, sorry about my explicit language, and maybe you can beep that as well if you want. So how about we talk to our kids without explicit imagery, like we have done for thousands and thousands of years, and for somehow humanity turned out okay. Okay, so this is not going to be the end of the world. People are going to start dying, and we're going to have busted anus holes of little kids. That's not going to happen. What we're going to have is that, okay, if two 14-year-old boys who are excited and they're trying to experiment with each other or something, then yes, have conversations. Not explicit conversation that, oh, little Jimmy over there, let him stick his dick up your bum. Let me watch you. Let me tell you how to use loops. No, you don't have to do that. You can tell kids. You can find out whether your kid is gay or not, and there's nothing wrong being supportive of him. But still, everyone wants everything in the world right now. I would want so many things, but you need to teach them discipline. You need to teach kids about consequences. You don't say, oh, you want to fuck him up the bum? Go fuck him. No, you tell them, no, you wait for your turn, okay? No, you need to focus on your studies. No, you need to do this and that. Yes, there will be a time and place for everything, blah, blah, blah. Yes, I was a horny 15-year-old kid too. I wanted to fuck everything that moved. But no, I waited, not necessarily because I was a really morally righteous guy. It's just because I just didn't have the opportunities. I was living in a society where certain things were controlled. Again, this is the problem with you guys, because you think that, okay, just because two 14-year-old boys or girls, they want to play with each other, let them be. And in fact, facilitate that. No, kids being exposed to sexual activity at a much younger age, that also has a lot of literature of negative consequences. So all of those things exist as well. So my argument, again, as I said, that, and to me, it is an explicit imagery, and this is the reason why you even asked me whether we can show it on YouTube or not. And I'm pretty sure YouTube will send us a copyright, some sort of a strike. So again, it's an arbitrary line. Yeah, you might disagree with YouTube's policies, but this is how it works, and I'm okay with that line for now. I am okay with we are trying to make sure you and I, we live in a world where we want kids, especially our girls, to hold it off as long as they can. Because if they start becoming pregnant, teenage pregnancy, or they get into this kind of activity really early on, then that could hinder their true potential of being a successful, independent woman who can be an astronaut or whatnot. So if I have a daughter, I am going to have a conversation with her. I'm going to tell her mum to have a conversation with her. I'm going to tell her about the good touch and the bad touch, but I'm not going to show her that, okay, well, this is how you're going to rub your clit on her, and this is going to be very useful. Honey, if you want to do it, sure, why not go do it? But then, by the way, you do your homework as well. No, you can tell your kids, you can have these conversations without explicit imagery, and you can tell them what's a good touch, what a bad touch. Just tell your daddy if someone touched you or someone said anything to you. You come and tell your father, don't be afraid of me, don't be scared of me, don't be nervous of me. You can do all of that. Again, this book, again, it's a random line in the sand that this woman, the author of the book, is saying that 9-year-olds can can see this book too. If you say that, okay, parents have a choice, why not give the choice to teachers then? That, okay, teachers can actually see that too. If I, as a parent, am allowed to show that to my 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old kid, why can't make it even Stevens for everyone? Put it in our 5th grade and say, Teachers, yeah, this is it. Today we're gonna show you in sex education class how to rub your clits on other clits. So no, there has to be a line, Armin, and I think we can have conversations. We're not disagreeing on the fact that you should be able to talk to your kids. We should be talking to our kids. We should be breaking taboos. We should be educating our kids. But there's a way for everything. You're not going to go straight into it. That's my argument. There are quite a few other points you made as well, but no, I think I'm not sold. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
Can I get a pen and paper? Because you made really good points. I had a really hang on. Let me. I had a really good monologue, man. I'm gonna take the excerpt of that. Fuck you. I'm gonna put that up. Armin tries to destroy Harris. Harris holds his
All
ground.
right.
Okay, let's go with it. Yeah. What do
All
you got?
right. So first of all, you keep saying that you have there are arbitrary lines. I don't know if you're not paying attention. We keep talking about how these lines are based on studies and evidence, and just because things changes, that doesn't mean that they are completely random lines. Lines change because we have better information. This is not just people just throwing darts at a board and coming up with numbers, right? These are people. This is based on a lot of people having deep conversations in from an academic point of view based on a lot of evidence, and you can't just dismiss the lines because we need to have lines. Just because you cannot, there are disagreements regarding where the lines are, that doesn't mean we should completely dismiss the lines altogether. You're like, oh, age of, for example, drinking is here over there, or is something else over there. Okay, so what is the alternative? Not to have lines? Of course there's going to be disagreements. There's disagreements over these all the time, but we cannot not have no lines. We have to have a line, because without it, we don't have we cannot come up with any standards. The second point, you said, why should we tell them how to use lubes or condoms? They're going to find out that, oh, it hurts. That is so dangerous, Harris. I don't know if you understand what you're saying here. We're talking about kids hurting each other or hurting themselves. And also, you keep talking about lubes. What about condoms? What if you figure out that you did something wrong with is by spreading STDs? Of course, we cannot let them figure this out. But you're like, you literally said they're just gonna find out. That is the most. I, you keep talking about the literature says this, the literature says that.
That was a
No, you have
sarcastic
to.
comment, by the way. Just saying that was a sarcastic comment, by
Okay,
the way.
okay, so
So
maybe I
focus
don't know
on
how.
no so
So
so focus on
no, no,
what
let
came
me.
after that.
I didn't. I did not interrupt you. Okay, let me finish, my
No,
friend.
because I thought
Okay,
maybe you might
if
go into that because you might get hinged on that particular line. I'm just saying that was a sarcastic comment, but what focus after that? That
I
focus on
still
that.
want
What
to
I said.
talk about it, I want to still talk about it, because if you say something is sarcasm, right, and then remind us that it's sarcasm after I point out how dangerous that is a dangerous sarcasm. Okay, we do not want to let the kids find out. It did not sound like sarcasm, like, oh, oh yeah, let them like they're gonna hurt each other. Well, they'll find out soon. Your response to me telling you that we need to tell little kids 12 to 15 that they need to use condoms, that they need to use lubes, and this is how. And then you had no, you were panicking over, like, oh, I'm not going to tell kids that use lubes around their assholes using their anus. So what is your response to that? If you don't tell them, your only response to my criticism of your panic was like, they're going to find out. That is a narrative that should be crushed anybody who says that, oh, kids are going to find out. There's a lot of damage in that mind, in that way of thinking. Kids are going to find out themselves. All right, so that was the second point. The third point, you said for thousands of, so this is how I know this was not a sarcasm, because you said for thousands of years kids have been figuring these things, people have been figuring these things out themselves, and we're okay for thousands of years. Okay, so clarify, for thousands of, what has been okay for thousands of years? You said for thousands of years we have not been doing it this way and we've been okay. That is another really bad argument. We have not been okay. For thousands of years we've been spreading diseases. For thousands of years kids have been psychologically damaged. For thousands of years sex education is a modern invention, and it has been amazing. Just because something has been happening, guess what, we have had slavery for thousands of years. What do you mean we've been okay? How, is your version of okay the fact that we have just survived? Things are better because of modern inventions. For thousands of years, people have been marrying and having sex with children. Child marriage, we have had child marriage for thousands of years. Having something for thousands of years is a bad argument. This is better. Yes, for thousands of years we've been doing it wrong. Now we're doing some things better. Okay, so appeal to tradition, appeal to old age, that's a fallacy. Okay? And also, your fourth point. I'm going to, oh, why can't we just tell them to wait? Oh, a 14-year-old wants to have sex with another 14-year-old. Oh, no, no, just tell them to wait. Focus on your studies. You keep talking about literature. Well, the literature says that's horrible. The literature tells you that's the abstinence is not the way. Sex abstinence is what puts children at risk. You cannot come between children and sex. That is a horrible. Instead of trying to stop them from having sex, you have to teach them that this is how this remedy that you're introducing is what separates children from parents. When it comes to the children will learn, the children, here's what children will learn. The children will not learn not to have sex. The children will learn to hide their sex activity from the parents. That is the worst thing you could do. If you try that, especially during these ages, 12 to 15, where your mind is going like, oh my god, I'm freaking horny. If the parents decides to go the route of like, hey, no sex for you, wait until you get older, focus on your studies, what that results in is a gap of knowledge, because you cannot come between the child and a force of nature that is horniness. You want to be the trusted parent that shows to the child that I am not going to shame you. This is not a taboo. You should not be introducing sexual activity as a taboo to your children, so the children can trust that my parents doesn't shame me for this, so they share the information. The most important thing that you need to have at this age with the children is a line of communication, so you know that your child is not going to be ashamed of telling you that they're having this activity, so you could monitor that the activity is not being done in a harmful way. You telling the child that they're doing something wrong breaks that line of communication, and you think that you're monitoring your children, but what you're doing is that now you're in the dark, and now the child is not going to share the information with you about the sexual activity they're having, and you will, now you have no control. You think that you have more control, but now you went from having some control to having no control. So if the child is now doing sexual activities that is harmful to maybe their teacher, or in an unsafe way to an adult, or they're being abused, because you introduce this as a taboo to you in your family, you're not going to know about that harmful activity. So that was not for point number 4. Point number 5, you're like, I don't want my girl to get pregnant early. That is why, yes, that is why you shouldn't make sex a taboo in your family. That's exactly why you should tell them the proper ways with pictures, by the way. That's why these books like this are helpful, because you just like, oh, use this is good. No, children are visual. Picture, soft pictures, cartoon like pictures helps as an aid in this conversation. If you don't want your daughter to get pregnant, showing them properly with aid, with visual aid, how you're supposed to use a condom, that's what avoids pregnancy. Not telling children not to have sex so that they tell you if they are having activities is how you avoid pregnancy. Your solution is what gets little children pregnant. Every study shows this. Every study shows this. If you're like, oh, woke, oh, far leftist, that is not going to throw away the studies and the conclusions and the literature that we have shows this. If you want to dismiss it as woke and far left, then I'm afraid for your children, right? So Yeah, I think I'm gonna. Oh, and they say like, oh, if another slippery slope at the very end, like, oh, if we are normalizing this, then we're gonna normalize that. No, exactly, it's the exact opposite. If you do not talk to your children, then what we have seen becomes normalized is abuse of children. This is why we have more abuse of children within right leaning families than left leaning ones. This is why, like, oh my God, somebody with a drag came and read a story to my children. This is what they're afraid of on the left, whereas in the right-leaning people who don't want to have these conversations, who are against all these guidelines, they're actually children. You have more child abuse on the right because they don't have these standards. Anyways, that's it.
Oh wow, we can go for hours in this. So okay, lines are not arbitrary because we have more data, and as a result, we keep redefining our lines. And yes, that data has debates. Every data that you show, which goes in one favor, there is data that goes, and that's why we have psychologists and people, sex experts, etc. They go and say totally opposite things. Um, so when I said that can't figure out, that's a general rule that I was telling you about. This is why I said that a part of that was sarcasm, and what came after that focus on that, and I'll merge that with for thousands of years, etc. Tradition, appealing to tradition, is not necessarily a fallacy, and because you are also appealing to tradition, which is asking for parents to get involved in that. Evolutionary, kids learn from their parents, that trust their parents, and now in modern day and age we have teachers as well, so kids trust them. That is a tradition of listening to your elders, and elders have a code of conduct or moral framework or whatever, and then they pass it down to your kids. So as a result, kids parents tell kids, they try to shield them from outer harms, and being exposed to a sexual activity at a younger age, let's say 14, let's just start with 14 because that's the example that we used earlier. But again, that line can go everywhere. And again, I'm sorry, the line becomes arbitrary. Why 14? Why not 13, 12, 11? And that's what religious people use that line in defense of Aisha's age. So the line I can understand is arbitrary, but the later, the better. And you said that so kids do find out. You can try to shield kids from many things, but kids will still experiment certain things, and kids will learn, kids will experiment, and kids will fall out, and they would learn a lesson. So why just draw a line at okay, anal loops again? Exposing kids to that kind of an activity, or telling them, or just simply giving up. This is a defeatist attitude that, oh, they're going to fuck each other anyway, so may as well tell them how to fuck. No, you can't tell them of consequences because there's so many other things as well. Kids are going to go for joyride as well. You don't say, okay, well, if you're going to joyride, although I'd recommend you not to do it, but if you go for a joyride, then try to observe the road signs. You don't do that. You draw a line and you say, no, if you do this, it can be bad for you. Again, our concern here is not their pleasure and their excitement and exploring sexual enjoyment at the age of 13, 14. Our concern is that kids are not damaged, or kids are not hurt or abused in that sense. That's why we're trying to tell them about the good touch and the bad touch. That's where the penny drops. The good touch and the bad touch, and go for it. Tell them what is a good touch, what is a bad touch. But don't go into that. If there is something going on in your mind, this force of nature of horniness, don't contain it. Go for it, my daughter. Go and fuck his brains out. No. Again, we're going to draw a line somewhere, and this is where I'm going to draw the line. I'm going to say, no, I'm going to tell them about good touch and bad touch in a non-sexual, explicit imagery, in a non-that way, and I'm going to explain that to my kids. What was the other point you said? Abstinence is not a solution. Abstinence is a bad idea, etc. No, again, I'll go back to that example. There's so many things that kids want to do. Kids want to jump off, what's that called, parlor thing, that they want to do jumping and they want to go joyriding. They want to do dangerous things. Kids are experimenters. Kids want to do those things. I was also a kid once. Yes, again, as I said, I wanted to experiment. I wanted to learn things, but I didn't. I had the fear of consequences. No, and again, oh my God, I'm going to sound like a religious apologist. I'm going to say, yes, maybe because of the religious upbringing or something, or the fear of the society, etc. I said, no, don't do this, because if I do this, if I'm found out, now, oh boy, it's going to embarrass my parents. It's going to embarrass me. It's going to be really bad. So just hold it. Okay, just hold it. And that's fine. Okay, masturbation. Nobody needs to know. Again, this is one of a fish is not taught how to swim. You find out how to masturbate. And people do find out. And again, I'm okay with that too. What's the age of masturbation? 14, 15? I think that's roughly the time when people start masturbating. Kids, okay, you can tell them. You can tell them about that too, but you don't have to show them. Here, let me show you a presentation. This is your dick. This is how you do it. Again, there are ways of doing things, and you can tell them about masturbation too. So when I say find out, this is what I mean by that. And abstinence for 14, 15 is not a bad idea. It's okay. It's okay. Don't go joyriding. Don't go driving. You're gonna run into something because your feet don't reach the pedal. There was one more thing you said. The tradition, teenage pregnancy. Tell her. You said, oh, Harris, you want to avoid your daughter from getting pregnant. This is why we have to tell her that, honey, go fuck him if you want to, but use condoms. No, I can also tell her that don't do it, don't get involved in that, because there are various studies that say kids who are exposed to sexual activity are highly likely to develop an intimacy disorder and or sex addiction. Now, again, the exposure may cause trauma and impair the young person's social and interpersonal developments. Again, this is why I go into this woke dogma.
What age?
Okay. Let's have a look. I'm sure it would be a spectrum. Okay, over the past 10 to 15. So after 15, maybe you can go into that. Oh, okay, all right. You can start getting into that. And again, this could be a woke article as well. But again, I'm okay with 15. Okay. Again, no. Whoa. Wait. If it's 15, my kid is not going to die if I have raised him or her right and say, okay, from 15 to 18. You can focus on that. There's so many other things you can do. Yes, kids may still try to do it, but then that's the natural order. Kids don't want to disappoint their parents either. Kids learn from their parents as well. Kids respect their parents. If you're a good role model for your kid, then your kids are also going to learn, okay, I don't want to disappoint my dad. I want to get my good grades, etc. These are good traditional values. Your attitude is a very defeatist attitude. It is the attitude that, oh, horniness is a monster. 13, 14, 15-year-old, they're going to fuck anyway, so may as well I give them a presentation on how to fuck. That's my argument. And again, I'm sorry, you made some very good points, but again, I firmly believe that every point one makes, there's always a counterpoint. At the end of the day, people are left with choices for themselves and what they think is the best. We are going through this moral panic right now, and even people like me who have propagated these modern far leftist liberal values for a very long time. Oh, sorry, last point that you made. Showing kids to drag queens, and you somehow link that to right-wingers having the more child abuse being the right-wingers. I'm sorry, I think that was a non sequitur. Are you actually claiming that taking kids to drag queens, showing them to drags doing twerking in front of 5-6-year-old kids prevents them from getting abused? I don't think that's what you would be saying, but you kind of use that analogy.
That's not what I was saying. What the hell?
You said that, oh, in right wing there are more sex abuse, but then on the left, liberal, the sex abuse doesn't happen.
Did I say
you use that analogy?
It's them taking? Did I say it's the taking them to drag that is helping them?
No. But you were attacking. No, you were attacking my point, because I said that there are people who are taking the kids to drags, and then to counter that point, you said, oh, you have more sex abuse amongst right wingers, amongst conservatives.
But did I say that?
Why did you use that example? No, but why did you use that example to counter my point?
I'm talking about the sexual education.
So it was an overall point. So it had nothing to do with the drag point. No, because that was a jibe at me.
No, I'm saying that you guys are panicking about things that are happening on the left, like for example,
All
showing
right,
taking kids to
right.
drag,
But
but the
but
main
do you think
harm
that's
that is
but
coming.
okay? Okay, I agree with you. I'm not a Bible thumping or Quran thumping religious person, so
Okay.
I don't have the dogma of those people. I can find a middle ground, but I'm not going to take my
Right.
kid to a drag queen as well, to a drag show as well. 5-year-old kid and is doing that. I'm not
It
going to take it
depends
again.
what
That's fine.
depends on what's happening. No, no, no. I depends on what for me depends on what's happening in a drag show. I could take them to a drag show.
With dicks flopping in front of a kid, it's like, oh yeah, there's a pubes hanging out. There's a decency.
See,
There's a
you
level
see,
of decency.
you just assume that there's dicks flying around in every
They,
drag
they do
show.
fly
But
around. I've seen some fucking videos. They're horrible.
y- yeah, yeah. But see, this is look at the way you're freaking the black and white thinking here,
I am not allowed
right?
to freak out. My 5-year-old kid is having dicks flopping around
You're
and it
not
is being
letting
normalized.
you know why you're misunderstanding what I'm saying, because you're actually not letting me say what I want to
Maybe you're
say, and
dragging it too
you're not.
much. Sorry for the pun. Okay. Okay. All right. So
did
finish
I
your point.
did I say you should be okay with? Okay. My concern is that you are using the word drag show and kids being exposed to explicit stuff interchangeably as if it happens all the time. And then when I told you that it doesn't, you said, well, I have seen videos. Most of them are not like that. Most drag shows are not like that. Just because there are
Well, then
some
I'm
that
talking
might be
about
like
those
that.
ones. Well, then I'm talking about those
Okay.
ones.
Yeah. So, but see how I needed to press you on it for you to clarify, because you talked about taking kids to drag shows as if it's automatically inherently a bad thing, but now when I pressed you for it, now were like, oh well, I'm talking about the
Well,
specific
then,
drag
okay.
show
Well, I
that
can
has
turn that
that.
around. Oh, hang on. I can turn that around and I can say, well, you said a drag queen, but then you excluded the bit that excluded the drag shows where dicks do flop around in front of kids' faces.
Well, I this is the first time I'm talking about drag shows. I'm
No,
saying
no,
like
you should. You talked about it earlier. No,
no
because you
no
equated that.
listen.
I mean, you equated that when you used that in. Sorry, hang on. You used that as an example when I brought that up in passing, and you said, "No, hang on, Armin, hang on." You created a non sequitur where you said that our kids get more abuse in the conservative circles, and you guys are panicking about drag shows. Well, hang on, I am allowed to panic on drag shows again. Sorry, let me clarify even more. Drag shows where dicks are flopping around in kids' faces, and then you say, "Oh, okay, but why did you exclude that?"
I'm what everything I said is true. I'm said you guys are concerned about certain things that are happening on left leaning circles, but the main harm is coming from right leaning people. That's completely true. Everything I said is completely true.
I,
Then I
I
said, then I said, then I said, then I said, you asked me, would you have a problem with taking kids to drag shows? I'm like, I wouldn't necessarily have a problem. Yeah, exactly. That's completely true. Depends. I said specifically. See, you're missing. This is what happens. Making fun of, making light of things is when we need what a strategy when you don't
I am
have a
allowed to
people.
panic.
When I Yes, you're allowed to panic about things that don't deserve a panic. But here's
I
the
do.
yeah, go ahead and panic. See, this is when you know you don't have anything to come back. This is why you don't
I
freaking.
mean, I do. I'm
I
scared to freaking come back because you wanna
see
keep
you're not
talking.
letting.
There you go, and then you start
Yeah,
complaining. You're not letting me finish, and then you're speaking for my on my
I
behalf.
say I say I'm not necessarily opposed to it. I said specifically. You say why are you excluding it? I said it depends on what's happening on the
Non-issue.
drag show. You're not
I
letting
mean, this
me
is a
make a
non-issue.
fucking point.
It's a
When
non-issue,
I,
Raman.
you said you made it an issue. You asked me why are you excluding those activities? When I said it depends on what's happening in the drag show, that is me not excluding it. When I say it depends on what's happening, it means that there are certain activities that might be happening on a drag show that makes me not want to take my kids there. That is
No.
exactly me not
No.
excluding it
Okay,
when
I
I
got
say it
your point. Okay,
depends.
yeah, but I got your. But then again, yeah, when you are pressed, that's when you're saying when you are pressed. When I asked you why did you exclude that, you
Before
did
you
not mention that.
pressed me, before you pressed me, I said it depends. You asked me, are you okay with it? I said it depends.
No. When you originally brought that up in the counterpoint, this is what I'm saying because you have a problem, Armin. you unnecessarily go into nitpicking. Unnecessarily, I'm telling you again, this is a black hole. We could have been talking about so many other good points that we were. Then you got caught in that because you become defensive on that. Like, hang on, I am logically consistent. Just in that effort to prove that, you get caught up in non-issues. When I'm
If
giving the
it's a
example of drag queens,
non-issue, why are you making it an issue?
I was just countering that. No, I was just countering that to prove a point that you jumped on me for saying that, oh, not all drag queens have dicks flopping in front of kids. I'm saying,
All
oh,
right,
okay, I'm
you want
only
to go down
talking.
this road?
I am
You want to
only
go?
talking.
Let's evaluate this.
I am
Let's
only talking.
evaluate this line by line.
Armin,
Let's
I
evaluate
am
line by line.
Armin, I am only talking about drag shows with the videos that I've seen where
Okay.
dicks and butts are being flopped around and jiggling in
Okay.
front of 5-year-old babies. Okay. Now,
Okay.
so I have a problem with that. Okay. The other ones, like a normal drag show, I have no problem with that. If there's no sexualization in front of kids. Okay. Now, kids are
Okay.
5, 6-year-old kids. So when you jump on me, when you say, oh, no, hang on, not all are like that. Okay. I don't have a problem with that.
Let's evaluate this and let's compare my generalization, as you say, with your generalization. Okay. You said you have a problem with taking kids to drag shows. Okay. Now
Those
you're
ones.
clarifying. May I speak? May I speak? Are you gonna wave a dick like it's something like a dick in front of me every time I want to say something? Do you think this is a proper way of having a conversation? Do you think this is constructive? Okay. I said, you said you have a problem with drag shows, kids going to drag shows. Now, when I showed you that there are drag shows that are completely fine for kids, now you're waving something like a dick in front of me every time I mention that, so that you clarify that, okay, not all drag shows. But up until the moment when I mentioned that, you were dismissing the entirety of kids going to drag shows. Up until then, which was not helpful. It's a generalization. Thank you for clarifying, though, now. That's more accurate. What you're saying now is more accurate. So that was a generalization. Now you're saying it more accurately. Let's see if I generalized. You're saying, like, why did you exclude certain parts of drag shows? I said that within the left, you're panicking about certain things, and within the right is where most of the harm to children is. That statement is true even with the part, like, including the harmful examples of what kids are being exposed to on the left, and the harmless ones together. Like, even with the generalization, like, if we include all of them, it's my statement is still correct that the harm to children is mostly coming to the right. So I didn't need to separate the harmful exposures from the harmless exposures for my point to still be valid. Your point was not valid until we excluded certain parts of the drag shows. My point is valid with both of them. That's why it was not
Okay, let
required
me
for me
destroy that.
to
Let me
specify.
destroy that, Armin. Let me destroy that. So my point is still valid if I say kids that go to drag queen with drag shows are being damaged. Okay, let's just say that. And then there's like, okay,
Okay.
then you say no. There are some drag shows that are not damaging. Okay, all right, some. Okay,
Most
so
of them.
yeah,
Most of
okay.
them are not
No, well,
damaging.
I don't know. I don't know if there's any data or not. I don't know. Um, I don't think you have it either. But
Vast majority of drag queens are
okay,
not
we
damaging.
don't we don't have the data. I mean, we don't.
We
You
do.
the problem in your case is that you equated it when you said more kids are being harmed in the right circles than with drag shows. Okay, that statement might be true on its own if we go purely objectively with numbers, but again, they're unrelated to each other. One does not lead or prevent the other. It doesn't have that impact on that. So again, I keep saying that was a non sequitur. You should not have brought that drag example up in that sentence. Surely you could have corrected me individually on its own, but not in the context of that. I think that was, and I think that's where we just got caught up in this non-issue Sure, you win if you want to go on that path. That okay? No, hang on, not all. Okay, fine, I get it. This is not an issue for me. We should not forget the main topic of our conversation, and I stand by that. And I'm sorry, as intimidating as you are, or as sharp as you fucking are, that doesn't my position still stays there, and I'm glad we had this conversation about arbitrary
Yeah.
lines and kids. And I want rights for this video. I reckon I reckon I defended my position really well. I think so.
Okay. Okay, I feel the same way about myself. I just want to one more thing, by the way, because I
Yeah.
forgot to mention this. You keep on saying like I don't want to show clips being rubbed with each other children. Forgot to mention this. The image that we are showing has no images of clits. Like I just
No,
wanted to clarify that there's no clits being shown in that.
no, not the
They're
clip, but
wearing
this is exactly what is being referred
I
to.
know,
No.
I know, I know. I'm not trying to defeat you or like this is
Mm.
not against anything. I just want to because we're gonna blur the
Oh yeah,
image
so
for
the
YouTube.
imagery, yes, yeah. So the imagery is not.
The
There's no imagery of
imagery,
vagina. Yeah,
there's no vagina. They're wearing underwear, so there's no images in that book. There are no
but it is
images of
implying that.
this.
But this is
Yeah,
exactly what it's implying. The wording say
I know.
that genitals rubbed. Yeah.
I know, but I just want for the people who can't see the image, I just want to clarify that the image that they're showing to children in this book, by the way, children between 12 to 15, there is no visuals of an actual female genital on in this image. It's a cartoon drawing, and there's no female genitals being shown. I just
But
wanted
the
to
author
clarify
recommends
that.
the author's recommended age is 9.
Okay, but the book has been categorized for
Author's
12 to
recommended is
15.
9. People listen to the
Okay.
authors.
All right.
And you're right.
Majority.
You're right. On the actual at the back of the book, it says recommended age is what 12 to 15
12 to
or
15.
okay.
12 to
Yeah.
15. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think that was good. That was a good
Fuck.
conversation. I
That
enjoyed.
was very good. I enjoyed it very
Yeah.
much too. Yeah, no, I liked it. That
Yeah.
got me going. That maybe we could every now and then we could just go into these positions. That was
Yes.
really good. I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. Fuck, you always do this. You're the only person who makes me really nervous. I don't get nervous.
Do you know who makes the most amazing, gorgeous, and other adjectives that I can't use here on YouTube? Blasphemous art ever? We do. And for some reason, we are giving it away for free. Download them now using the link in the description before we change our mind.